Oh.
Yeah, adopted son, I guess. Yeah.
All right. So first we're going to be talking about you entering the foster care system a little bit. Um, so could you tell me what age you entered the foster care system and what you remember?
I want to say my original interning was probably when I was a baby, but the second time was probably when I was like 7 or 8. Yeah.
Um, have you been in and out of the foster care system then a couple of times?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How many times?
Probably like 6 or 7 maybe. Yeah.
That's great. Are there any specific moments where you were entering the system that you remember that have stuck on with you?
Uh, Probably when I first met them. K-Man went to like a contract home, and then had a teacher brought me back to here. So yeah, probably about that time.
What was it like meeting Michelle and Kevin for the first time?
I thought they was weird for sure. Um, yeah, I found out they were vegetarians, and I was like, um, it was different. I mean, obviously, just meeting some random people. I mean, it was alright. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience.
Um, when you were taken from your home, can you describe what was going through in your mind at that moment?
Um, I mean, at that point, I was used to it. I mean, moving around, I guess. So I was kind of like a new start, kind of. Um, I don't know. There's a lot.
Um, in Kevin's interview, he talked about you moving around a lot. How many different places have you lived in?
I don't know. Like, probably like 50 different places. Probably more than that. But yeah, moved everywhere, out of state, some places. Yeah.
Um, do you have any siblings that you were separated from?
Oh yeah, I have a twin sister, a little brother, and an older sister. Yeah.
Are you in contact with them, or what's your relationship like with them?
Uh, it's a little rocky. I'm a little bit closer with my twin sister. It's kind of like your friends at high school. Like if after you stop seeing them every day, you kind of just lose touch. So it's a little iffy.
Um, um, we'll talk a little bit more about you being in the foster care system now, if that's all right. Now, I know a little bit about your story and from Michelle and Kevin's interviews and how you were with them and then went back and then came back to them and then you stayed with them. Um, what was your personal experience like while in foster care, all different times, and
It was good and bad, good and bad. Second time it was all right. It's just the process. It kind of takes most of your like childhood away, like going back and forth, moving around and things like that. I wouldn't say I have the worst experience, but I had a pretty rough experience.
um, how do you think it's affected you emotionally?
I mean, it went bad, but I mean, it's a lot of good things that come out of it, I guess. But it could take. It's emotionally draining. So yeah.
Um, so some people that we've talked to have mentioned that it's difficult for foster children to feel like they belong or they feel loved when they move through different homes all the time. And how many so how many foster homes have you lived in, and what has that done to your sense of stability and identity?
I really only been in what 3 or 4 in a group home and a contract home. Yeah. So there's different types and kinds, I guess you would say. But I don't know. I just kind of got the independency, so I kind of just went off and started doing my own thing. But not a lot of people do that. You're not supposed to, but yeah.
So your own perseverance has, it seems like it's done great for you then.
Yeah. Yeah. I just kind of stopped following all the rules, I guess. So yeah.
Um, which foster family do you remember the most and why?
probably these people, and because I'm still with them. They're weird. That's probably what I remember the most. Yeah.
Do you have any stories about other foster family homes and what it was like being with them?
Probably my first contract home. She was very interesting. I mean, I remember getting in the shower and she was like, "Turn the water off." Like, turn it off, and like you only could use it for like 5 seconds. I just remember the atmosphere. It was kind of, it was more for the money for her, I would say. Um, it just wasn't a good experience.
What is it like being in a contract home like that?
It's a little rough because then those type of people are really in it for the money. I mean, contract homes. So they are really emotionally, they're as worse. Um, it was just, I wasn't in there too long though, but it was, to be young and be treated a certain way and not a nice way. Yeah, it's a little rough.
How young were you?
It's like 12, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there.
What is it like comparing that contract home with Michelle and Kevin?
It's a lot more autonomy. I mean, it's a lot more freedom, I suppose. They're not the normal foster parents, so it's a lot different. Um, it's not as the same rules. Contract homes and group homes have different rules from foster homes, so it's a lot different.
Could you talk about some of those rules?
Group homes can't get a license, can't get a ID necessarily. You can't go outside. You go to jail for it without their permission. Yeah, it's a lot of different. You can't go into the kitchen at a certain time. Um, a lot of times those things are locked. There's a lot more. Can't think of them, but yeah, foster homes, they're a lot different. Some are kind of built the same, but a lot are.
So while you're in a group home, you can't get your driver's license, no ID.
You're not supposed to.
Why do you think that is?
I guess it's just kind of the old infrastructure. We're working on changing that though. But it's just, I don't know. I don't know who made those rules.
Yeah. When you
Can I ask you a
Yeah.
question real quick? So you vaguely have been talking about some of your situations, and you told us a couple stories. Is there a story that you're willing to share with us that's like has really stood out to you in your life with like going to different homes, specifically like a specific tough time? And if you could, tell that to Megan.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. So my situation is a little bit different because like, unlike a lot of other kids, I've been back and forth from like biological people into foster system. So I could talk about the time where going through the court system, being put back into a place where you don't want to be exactly, running away from that place to get help from like a worker, your worker, and then being arrested from that. So that's like one of the main situations. Like I said, my situation is a lot different than a lot of others. So yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How did you often feel while being in the system? Like really kind of dive into the emotions that went through your head.
I was angry, I guess. It was like that one kid, angry, yelling at everyone, courts and all that stuff. But I ended up kind of gotten a sense of, it's not going to change, so I just started to go off and do my own thing. Like I said, didn't really follow the rules. Kind of gave up on the system, and just starting, that real independency and just going to do it, instead of asking.
Are you okay if I ask about you running away?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Walk me through what was going through your head. Like, why did you run away?
I mean, it was just a bad situation. I mean, I was put back in a place that I didn't want to be in, a very abusive place, I guess. And then, I was like, you know what? Cut off all, phone activity, I guess. So I had to go find my worker. And then, it was a very long walk. Yeah, very long. Got to the agency, got a hold of my worker. And then, everybody's kind of coming. You're thinking that you're not going to get that help. And then next, you're being arrested. because it's against the rules apparently.
I mean, you were going to look for help.
Yeah.
So, what was going through your head? I'm sure there's a big mix of emotions.
Yeah, thinking that I'm gonna get some help, get away from the situation, and then to be arrested, more angry. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
How did that affect your relationship with your caseworker?
just kind of cut it off, because it's like I can't go to you for anything. I mean, like it's not like I went somewhere else to cause some more trouble or cause any trouble at all. So I just kind of, like I said, gave up.
Mm-hmm. What's it like? I mean, it's a system you're supposed to rely on, and you had to give up on that. What was that like?
I don't know how to explain it. It's just kind of like you're realizing that like you can't depend on the system at all or anyone. I mean, these caseworkers are supposed to be essentially your parents because they make all your decisions, and you kind of can't depend on them or anything like that. Like it's like going to do simple things, job interviews. They don't really care about that stuff. So it's kind of like, you just gotta stop depending on them necessarily. So it's just you're basically out there for yourself.
Mm-hmm. After everything you've been through, how do you think it's helped make you into the person you are today?
It's crazy because like it kind of, I mean like me building my independency, it kind of got me, great. It helped out actually running an advisory board, traveling into the advisory, child advocacy. It turned out great in a way for me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're president of the advisory?
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's great. I kind of forced my way onto it. I think if they wanted to, they would want to fire me because kind of make them take up for themselves. And now that I'm not in the agency care anymore, I can really do whatever. We're changing the runaway laws because that's very stupid. And we're just doing a lot come January. So traveling, and I go to Columbus every couple of months, meeting the people, meeting the department heads. So people are kind of like, this kid knows everyone now. So it's kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess, could you tell us more about your experience and what you do and how you try to change laws?
So we have our local boards, and then we have our state boards. So state boards are in Columbus. So we all meet up, and there's different projects because there's so many kids who've been doing different things. So each person who wants to do it get assigned with a couple things. Like me, runaway laws. So the thing is, we have to get like a Republican and a Democrat together to change. So we want to change that runaway law. We want to take that out of the policy because it doesn't make any sense if you run to your agency and you get arrested for it. And also for group homes. We're changing group homes. We actually got them shut down because group homes are bad right now. And the county, our county is like the worst county, and we have the least amount of people. So that's kind of something to show for. And then it's just a lot of things that need to be changed that we're working on. So yeah.
You were just saying that group homes are bad. Could you talk more?
Oh yeah, so like there's no normalcy. There's a lot of talks about normalcy. There's a normalcy policy which I think should be taken out because group homes are a lot formed like prison. A lot of these group homes are trash basically. They're not really livable necessarily. They're more for the money, just like contract homes. They're not using money and funds necessarily towards the kid. A lot of kids are being placed in group homes, especially in Cincinnati or just around here even. Locking refrigerators and putting locks on everything, and you can't go outside. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And you said you were in a group home?
Yeah.
What was that like, and going through that? And
So our group home experience was way better than a lot of people. The group home I was in, it was new, so it was different. So I feel like a lot of group homes, when they first start out, they have good intentions. But now I go back to that one, it's not great. It's not great now. It's even worse. So My experience was good. I can't really attest to that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, got lucky.
Yeah. Um, what are your relationships like with other kids that you've been in the system with that you've met?
So since I'm the president, I kind of have to meet almost all of them. I haven't really met everyone yet, but um, it's kind of like a mentor thing. Like there's a few people on the board. I'm trying to get more kids into it. It's a big dropout rate for kids in that care, so it's kind of like a leave off. A lot of kids, like I said, they giving up. They stop caring and they just resort to dropping out of school and going the other way. But I think I have a pretty decent relationship with a lot of them. As far as that wants to get into advocacy or it's a lot of not enough information out there that needs to be put out there as far as like programs and things like that.
How are you that advocate for other people? How do you encourage them?
Well, I push for more information, you know, like I said, programs and pushing that out. So I have a letter being sent out to all the parents, foster parents, to for kids and things like upcoming programs as they're turning like 17, 18. We're gonna have Bridges Workers, which that is a program when you age out. We're gonna have them come in and talk to the agency. We're getting that probably next month or so. It's just a lot of information that needs to be pushed out. So I'm making sure that that does get pushed out.
You were talking about aging out, and I know that your caseworker, I think, from my understanding, kind of wanted you to age out. Is that correct?
Yeah, so she filed for something different. It would have been a whole different situation. So yeah, it's kind of like the pick of the draw. Like either you get a good caseworker or you don't. I feel like after COVID, it's kind of, all the workers went to private agencies, which, I mean, I get it. But yeah, I had a non-existent caseworker. So it's kind of like you either get that caseworker who don't do anything or you get that caseworker who's overbearing and you can't do anything either. So like I said, I kind of just went off and did everything, like ID, driver's license. We just kind of went off and did it, I guess. She just wasn't helpful. My aging out process was not good at all. It was just, bad, I guess. It wasn't a good transition per se. So yeah, that goes back to transitions and, a lot of things like that. So.
Could you walk me through what your adoption process was like and when you found out that your caseworker didn't file the right stuff?
So we went to court. We were supposed to, all be on the same page. And then when the file came out, oh, continue or whatever. It was something different. And then we were just kind of like shocked because that wasn't supposed to be the plan. And then we had to extend it. It was an extension, I believe. So that was another 6 months. The plan is for me to be adopted before I turn 18 because missed out on certain benefits per se. And then that didn't happen. So then the court came up, I think, a month before my birthday or something like that. I don't know. And then, then they filed per PC and then adoption stuff. Caseworker didn't do what she was supposed to do by getting the paper transferred over. So it was just a lot of things. And then transition meeting, it went downhill, I suppose. And, it just wasn't a good transition out. And I guess that's what a lot of people do. And when you don't have people to advocate for you and, make sure you have that knowledge and things like that, it kind of, it just go through.
How did,
do you ever feel angry or upset at your caseworker?
I used to, but I just started doing my own thing. I mean, I just stopped caring, because, I just had the thought process of if I'm just sitting here angry or upset, nothing's gonna change, because I was that person, just kept on getting in trouble and all that stuff. I just stopped, it's no point to it. Nothing is gonna change. So.
How did your caseworker messing up? How did that make you feel? What did that do to you?
At first, I was angry. I was because like certain things aren't getting done that needs to be done. But like I said, I just started getting them done myself. Going to get a job, when to do it, got it done myself. Getting ID, bank account, all that stuff. Just went and got it. Just get it done. Because unfortunately, waiting on them to do it, you're not gonna hit that deadline. Like waiting on the caseworker to get your social security card and birth certificate. I always had that on me, so never gave that up. So just waiting on them to do something like that, you're not gonna get it done. Jobs aren't gonna care. They're not gonna care. Oh, you're a foster care. That's maybe a little bit, but they're still not gonna care. They're not gonna give you the job. So it's just kind of like you just gotta go off and do it.
Can you tell us more about the legal side and your overall experience about being adopted? I know we kind of talked about it, but
Yeah, it don't. I mean, for me being adopted, it don't really feel any different. I mean, the court process went cool. I mean, it don't really feel any different. It was a quick process at the end. I mean, yeah, I just take it. I just look at it as another title, I guess. I don't really, yeah. It wasn't really a bad process at the end.
how has this impacted your perception of family?
I don't know. I don't really know the answer to that question. Family is complicated because I still know I'm a biological family and I have a big family per se, and a lot of things. I don't know. It's just yeah. I don't really know how to answer that question.
I can try to reword it.
Sure.
I guess, like, what do you think should be, like, in a family? Like, what would you define being a good family?
Even I don't have an answer for that. Yeah.
No worries.
Can you tell us about the impact Michelle and Kevin and her family and what that's done to you?
Pretty good support system, definitely. Like I said, because a lot of kids that don't have a good support system kind of fall through, I guess, and no one checks up and no one holds people accountable. So they definitely do. So it's good. That's why my through the system has kind of been better than what it is for other people. So yeah.
Being in the position that you are with being present on that board and everything, how do you, and also just like being such an independent person, how do you reach out to and help other people who maybe fall through the cracks a bit?
I mean, like tomorrow, I guess I have a board meeting. I've been finding a lot of people out. I mean, it's just also who wants to, kind of not, fall through the cracks, I guess, is because it's like you can only help people who want to be helped necessarily. So, I mean, there's only even so much I can do. So, like, it's just, it just depends on the situation.
I know you talked with Governor DeWine a little bit, is that correct? About like how your push for unification didn't work. What role, and you're still so young, what role has the foster care system played into your life and impacted you, really?
I mean, it given me like the advisory board situation. I mean, it's definitely put me somewhere where I can, be successful necessarily. Put me in front of all these people, meeting, state officials on a Zoom with like a different senator or someone. Even put me in front of him. It's definitely been a lot of bad, but it also has been a lot of good to come out of it. So it definitely put me somewhere where I can, grow and be kind of successful from.
Everything you've been through, I mean, it's stuff I know we can never imagine. But how do you remain hopeful?
I just keep pushing forward. Like I said, I just kind of, I spent most of my life like dwelling on the bad and kind of, being angry. But I just kind of gotta move forward. You gotta learn how to deal with certain situations differently and it goes a lot better. Yeah, so I just kind of keep on moving forward, being positive, and there's always a way.
What motivates you specifically to keep moving forward?
I really don't know. I think it's just mainly just I don't know. It's just the hope to be able to, change things, not for me, but for the younger kids.
Um, what would you tell people who are unsure about fostering?
I would tell them it's definitely going to be difficult. You're definitely going to get attached. Um, you're definitely going to have a hard time dealing with agencies, I suppose, by not being able to do certain things that you want to do. That may be right, Um, I don't know. It's just going to be a lot to it. And don't always read stuff that's on the paper, because it's not always true.
You talked a little bit about parents getting attached to foster kids. Did you ever get attached to foster parents?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, like Michelle and Kevin.
Yeah.
When you left them the first time, what was going through your head?
I was a kid, so I was like, yeah, let me go. But yeah, I ended up, I still kept in touch with them the whole time. Just got back into a bad situation, so it's kind of like, and then after that, moved out of state, came back, went into a group home, and then just kind of back and forth cycle.
Is there something you think people need to know about the foster care system?
Yeah, it isn't easy. It isn't easy. But, I know there's people like me who, kind of had the easier side of it, but just, sometimes it can be really difficult to navigate.
How, as being in the foster care system, how do you deal with, like, the legal side of everything? Like, how involved are you in it?
I would say now I'm kind of very involved due to, like, a lot of stuff. I forgot what the word is for them, but a lot of things are up for review. So it's kind of like, like, hey, we want your input on this and that. So it's very good. There's a lot of people, agencies that don't like that, but I love it because it's about time things change. It's a lot of things. We can only do one thing at a time, and things take time, especially changing laws and policies and things like that.
If there was, if you could make one change to the foster care system, what would it be and what would that look like?
First we're starting with the runaway policy. We're already changing that. That's coming December. Normalcy, we're working on taking that out. A lot of kids don't choose to be in the system. They don't need to, come into like a prison, basically. It's just, they don't deserve it. They don't choose that. So why, bring them into another bad situation? So that too.
If you had to describe the foster care system in one word or one sentence, what would that be?
Crazy experience.
Yeah. Why? What are some of your favorite memories of like being in the foster system?
Definitely get on an advisory board. That's probably one of the main ones. Yeah.
If you could say one thing to people who are watching this documentary, parents, children, caseworkers, government officials, whoever, what would you say?
Got a lot of changes we gotta make.
What is one thing you
Sorry.
what is one thing you want people to know about the system?
There's a lot of things bad about it, but there's some good to it too.
Could you speak more on
that? Like I said, it's kind of like going back to like the luck of the draw. Like some kids had it good and some kids had it bad. It's kind of like who you have, who is your support system, and who's your worker, and it boils down to who you have in your corner.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. What are some of your plans for your future?
So right now, going into EMS. Right now, probably going to do more advocacy. Probably take it to another level or something like that. But yeah, so my goals. Changing laws too. That's coming really soon. So, you know.
I am too, sorry. So you said you got lucky overall with the system. Would you say, like, do you think the system has a lot of failures at all? I mean, obviously you do.
Oh yeah.
Specifically, like, what are some of those failures, and do you think the system, although supported you and you got lucky, has it failed you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, on the transitions part of it, I mean, definitely. Um, you know, you don't have any information. Like you're just like sitting there. I mean, caseworker wise, definitely failed me. I mean, I had a juvenile record over running to the agency. I mean, definitely something. So, yeah.
For all the children still in foster care and foster homes who are looking for love, support, stability, what would you say to them?
I really don't know what to say to that. Yeah.
Can I rephrase it?
Yeah.
What would you say to your younger self when you first got started in the foster care system?
I would say just don't be so angry. Just don't. Just don't be so angry. It makes a big difference.
How so?
Well, when you're that angry kid who lashes out on people, I mean, they're not gonna take you seriously. It's just, I don't know. It makes a big difference, especially in courts and to people.
You guys have another question? Is there anything you think that we need to know or? All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for doing this. That was great.
Yep.
Much appreciated. I think we're finished. It's a wrap.
Okay, before we pack up, I gotta get pictures
Yeah,
of you
you-
with
Oh, yes.
and Bruno.
We'll do pictures.
That's on the Ursa, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, you're packed.